Saad Hameed and Jouni Keranen from Game District and Kuuhubb, respectively, and we're going to talk about how to build a successful games company. And just because we want to, it seems a bit crazy in the heat here, but because we want to have a fireside chat, a nice cozy fire behind us to talk. So guys, I'm going to let you kick off.
So we wanted to have a fireside chat, and we just wanted to do it like, very non-conventional way. That, there would be a guy who's just asking the question. It would be me and Jouni. So I have a lot of questions. But before the question, I wanted to introduce myself. So my name is Saad Hameed. I'm the founder and CEO of Game District. We are one of the largest game companies in Pakistan, with over 500 people and 200 games in the store with 1.7 billion downloads almost. One of the things I wanted to mention here, when we are talking about the MENA, the best thing MENA comes up with, if we call it MENA. So MENA comes and joined Pakistan. So it will be Middle East, North Africa, and Pakistan. So the people, which is already really less, and the people in Pakistan is 200 million. So when we join that, it will one of the biggest region. And then this region's the core power would be that it is really, really near to understanding the Eastern region. And when the Southeastern regions, with the help of Pakistan, join the MENA, it will be a really, really different game. So I'm a really big advocating of Pakistan as a market, as a go-to place. As Google said, Pakistan is the fastest growing market in the world after Vietnam. So it's really, really exciting things from there. And I just wanted to hand over to Jouni, just introduce himself, and then we'll have really, really good questions from Jouni and me. Let's go.
Yeah, thank you, my good friend Saad. So I'm from Finland, but I spent most of my life actually in the East. So I started in year 2000 in Bangalore. I was building games for Nokia cluster, moved on to China, where we launched the largest virtual world or metaverse to date called Habbo. We had about 300 million users, 100 million in revenues with in-app purchases and virtual avatars in year 2005, so quite a while ago. I was also partner of the next kind of gaming success from Finland called Angry Birds, working with them for China market. I started a studio in Finland where we launched an app called Recolor that I think we'll talk a bit more, that became the kind of standard for coloring communities. And I'm also a very active kind of investor in startups and through fund in traditional gaming, technology, and Web3 companies.
Awesome. I think one of the first question I wanted to ask Jouni, which is really near to my heart also, is what's going with this Finnish gaming industry? Every year you guys have a unicorn. I've been to Helsinki, the kind of people you met there and everything is really, really crazy. So what's going on? How you're able to do that?
Yeah, I think everybody has heard about the Finnish successes, of Nokia and Supercell in gaming. So I'm going to talk a little bit about different angle, which I think is equally important to kind of where the Finnish gaming industry is today. I mean, it's 4,000 people in Finland, generating over 3 billion in revenues annually. And you're right, there is like a big exit every year in hundreds of millions or in billions in the last 5-6 years. But I think the key thing has been actually the combination of successes and failures. And there's been a lot of failures. Like if you look at Nokia, actually it was also a failure. Like we were on top of the world, having in India, for example, 95% of the mobile market and so on. And now Nokia has no consumer phones. It's a network company. From Habbo Hotel, I mean, we were the largest social network and online game in the planet. And now we have Facebook, who's worth quite a bit more than the small Habbo Hotel, who failed to basically to see the mobile wave and so on. But that time we built a global company with 20 offices and 100 million in revenues. We were living and breathing in-app purchases. And so when the mobile came, those people went on to be founders of Supercell. They went on to work as management in in Rovio. And you know, when Rovio was at the top of the world, Rovio was worth billions. It was the hottest kind of, you know, kids and entertainment brand in the planet. But then Rovio also stumbled kind of, and now it was sold to Sega for a fraction of the peak price. But then the people from Rovio went on to start companies, like seriously, that was sold to Playtika for hundreds of millions, and so on and so forth. So I think this kind of Silicon Valley type of embracing of the learnings and experience from failures, and moving on to start new companies and so on, bringing that experience and then, you know, succeeding in this. I think this is like really important, like non-spoken part of the Finnish gaming industry success.
Failure is always a badge. You have to embarrass it. And, you know, once, like, you know, a really, really nice quote of, like, you know, Nelson Mandela, I just wanted to mention here. He just said, like, you know, either I learn or I win. I never fail. So failure is kind of a learning. So you just, like, you know, keep it up with that. Yeah,
like Winston Churchill said, success is the ability to go from one failure to another with no loss of enthusiasm.
So my next question would be about the recolor. So what is your journey from $0 to $100 million at the top of one coloring app? Because from the Pakistani perspective, this is huge. Like, you know, you take one game and, you know, from $0 to $100 million revenue journey is really different. So can you please tell us about that?
Yeah, I think this is quite typical for a Finnish gaming to kind of aim at building one high quality, high revenue game and scaling it aggressively to hit those kind of valuations of 100 plus million. And we did it with Recolor. Basically, Recolor was taking an offline concept where adult women like coloring books that kids color all over the world and making an app on that. And that was a decent success. But then what really scaled it was building a social kind of community around it. So we built like this whole Instagram, Pinterest type of following, liking, sharing pictures, etc. That kind of created that engagement and interaction. And then secondly, Saad, we did a lot of partnerships. So we went quite aggressively using kind of the connections that I had, for example, from Habbo Hotel and the previous projects, to partner with Lionsgate in the Hollywood. We did cooperations with Hunger Games, Twilight, Orange is the New Black with Netflix, with Barbie. We partnered with Samsung. You know, for example, Recolor was downloaded or pre-installed in all the S3 tablets in North America. We did a partnership with Kellogg's, where Recolor was printed in 90 million cereal boxes all across North America, to go and download Recolor and then color Tony the Tiger, Frosty Flakes, and so on. So I think it was this kind of brand building together with kind of community and then the marketing as well that really grew us in 2 years from like 0 to 100 million.
Perfect. My next question would be that, you know, you have spent a lot of time in the east coast of the world, like, you know, China, India, Bangalore, 8 years in China, then Japan. And then, like, you know, now you're living in the west side of the world, like, you know, where you see different kind of approach to getting into the technology and gaming. So what is the difference you find out in the east and west? And what do you think, like, you know, how we can close, like, you know, this difference and make something like, you know, kind of a marriage of east and west? What do you think of this idea?
Well, of course, kind of, you know, mixing east and west is my life's work. So I believe strongly in those partnerships, and it's been really interesting to see markets like China to grow. When I was there in 2003, it was very much like foreigners entering China, Koreans and initially, and Chinese just learning how to make games. I think like Jeff was mentioning earlier. But then it really became about, you know, how big China is as a whole market, and then eventually like Tencent, for example, going out and buying Supercell and Epic and Riot and so on. So you know, power balances change. But I think the key to like East-West partnership, in my opinion, and based on 2 decades of experience, is I think mutual respect. Like, it shouldn't be based on the fact that, okay, the labor is cheaper in Pakistan or in India, or it shouldn't be based on that there's more money in Silicon Valley, or that China has a 1+ billion people and so on. It should be based on kind of long-term, you know, mutual mutually aligned interest on building something together. Because there's always, ways to try to benefit from each other, but I think it should be really about partnerships on building something together, and also looking at East as from the Western perspective as a place to build games together, but also a place to have market access. And there are strengths between like Finland and Pakistan, for example, where Finnish are very good at high quality games and that like user experience and the polishing, but the teams are much smaller, so they are not as feature rich, and they move much slower. So I think trying to combine the best of both worlds with mutual respect, that would be my advice.
So one of the question I really wanted to ask about the Swiss fund. So you are the partner of Swiss funds, which is one of the really lucrative funds around the gaming industry. So what's your advice for people who looking for funding? How can you tell that how you can help them in a way that they can get to Swiss funds?
So in Swiss One we have different products. So we have, for example, we have a metaverse fund where we invest in anything widely thought as metaverse. So for us it's we have Roblox, we have Unity, as gaming blocks, and we have like Gala games and Render, etc. So it's a kind of very hand-picked, actively managed fund where we can invest anything, whether it's a big company or whether it's a pre-ICO or it's a private company. Then we also have a more of an ecosystem seed fund where we invest really on kind of idea, and there it's more based on founders and on the idea. Like in gaming, it's very rare to have guys out of university or with an idea and create a big success. I mean, it happens, but if I look at Finland, for example, most of the big successes come from people who have already tried something before. They've been in these other companies and they learn and then they start and then they succeed. So I think from a investor perspective, I mean, one is your game idea and so on, but it's also really important on who are the founders and what's your experience. So my advice, especially on early stage, like if you're later stage, then there's KPIs, it's easy to look at, can this thing scale, in terms of retention, LTV metrics, the UA costs. But for early stage, try to build a founding team that has some experience, have worked in some companies that we actually know. And even for young people, I would advise to join some companies that have successful games where you can learn, because if you're trying to figure out everything by yourself, I mean, these days it's already a really hard road to learn all the aspects of successful game development and publishing by yourself as a small team.
Awesome. I think I have all the questions. Probably you go on and if you wanted to ask anything, I'm good to go.
Yeah, this kind of brings me to what I was talking about. Like you guys, I know you and your partner Ahmed, you started as kind of young guys, and you bootstrapped this company, Game District, from 0 to 500 people with no funding and kind of no outside help, and so on. That's really impressive. So can you share some advice, to other people and kind of some of the key success factors on how did you succeed?
I think the answer would be really interesting. The first thing is, the one company I've been working, they got funded really well, and then when they funded, there would be a lot of problems started. So one thing is there, I wanted to do it bootstrap, and the second thing is when we started the company in Pakistan, there was no regular investors. So it's a fortunate thing for me and for my co-founder that we didn't go for the free money or the investors' money. At that time, we call it the free money. So we just go it full-handedly and reinvesting whatever the profits we will be. The two things what we have cherished during the whole time is the persistence, the way we are just going there and cherish over failures and start doing better and better things. But after 2018, I think the best thing happened to us is we believe and you understand that it's not about making the right kind of a game. It's about the right kind of UA. It's kind of the right kind of analytics, and we put all of these talents into the gaming industry in Pakistan, and things would be really better. And one more highlighted point, which 2x over growth in over 1 year, is the international team we incubated and indulged with the game district. So we have over growth and head manager, over CTO. They help us really well in accelerated the things. So just imagine 500 people in game district, all of them Pakistani. Almost all of them never go out from Pakistan. So these guys coming from Russia, and they work in the really big companies. They come to Pakistan, they accelerate it, they talk with the guys, they change their mindset, and it's really boosts the company. So I think these are the three factors. In 2016, no funding. 2018, go with analytics and data and start UA aggressively, and then 2022, hire more people who can change the mindset and accelerate it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think one point I'd like to ask also here is the company culture, because I know that you're a big kind of supporter of building a company, and the office in Lahore with Game District is quite amazing. It looks like a Silicon Valley startup with inspirational quotes from Steve Jobs and so on the wall. So can you talk a little bit what role culture played in your success here?
I think I believe culture is everything. If you don't have the right culture, you never able to make things up to the right mark. So when we started Game District, the first thing we have planned is that the culture has to be the top notch. Everyone comes in a hierarchy, but ideas will always cherish in the right way, and people will be giving the full regard of respect. Either you're a janitorial staff or you are the CEO. The culture is you're the same. So there is one quote I wanted to mention. It's a Persian quote by one of the philosopher who has the idea of Pakistan, Dr. Allama Iqbal, and he said kasbe kamal kun ke aziz jahan shavi, that you do something with excellence, that once you do anything with excellence, you will be dear to the whole world. So that's the culture we cherish, and that's what we wanted to do at Game District. Do everything with excellence and with the right strategy. And I can see that things has been changing for us as a Pakistani company all around the world.
Yeah, that's exciting. Can you also mention a little bit or talk about the markets? Pakistan is in the middle of India and the MENA region and so on. How do you see the opportunities now in gaming, in both sides of Pakistan, east and west?
I think Pakistan has been really fortunate, and it can be change maker, and I think Pakistan could. I mentioned Pakistan as the Brazil of mobile games. So we play our own way. We don't play the football the European way. So we have our own way of do UA. We have our own way of making games. So either you call it stupid or smart. It doesn't matter. But we really have the mark how to get billions of downloads. Every company you meet in Pakistan and you see okay, I have 2 billion downloads. I have 1 billion downloads. And that's our kind of strength. Now what we wanted to build on our strength is to help the MENA region to grow up, and getting all the knowledge how to make this billions of download for a long tail time now into the game. So that's one thing we are learning, and we are trying to get into there. And the second thing would be that we wanted to help, as we know how to get we understand the users and the data, everything. And the MENA region, I think if you talk about the biggest publisher in the MENA region, which have 300 million downloads, is the biggest guy in the MENA, and then comes a company like Game District who has 400 million downloads only from the MENA region, because we have really diverse downloads, and then we have 500 million downloads from the India. So these kind of statistics make us really powerful pack of east and west marriage, or something doing in MENA. So that's kind of our thing.
So now. Just a quick conclusion. I think also MENA region is really exciting. I think the other thing is that's really exciting is that the gaming industry that I've seen from 1980s, Ataris and Commodores, 1990s with PCs and consoles, 2000s the online MMOs, etc. 2010s the mobile gaming, which at the moment still is the by far the biggest segment. And now I see that the next kind of 10 years, the big growth, the new area is coming from Web3 gaming, and especially on how to do it in a mass market way. Like there are 3 billion gamers in the world, and only about 1 million unique Web3 gaming wallets. And so that's actually something as a last point. I wanted to know, what are your plans with Web3?
I used to have really discomfort before I met you and talking about the metaverses and everything, because my problem was whenever we are talking about the metaverses and everything, we go for far behind of the idealistic ideas of making games. And I think game has to be fun. Always either you make a small hyper casual game, or you wanted to go for a a metaverse. It always be the entertainment has to be the purpose. For Game District also, we are looking forward to go into the Web3, and with one of the companies we are planning to go into the future would be GD3, which will be focusing on the Web3 gaming, but in the nicer style, with the one thing in it, the entertainment has to be the sole purpose, not selling the coins or crypto out of the game. So that is one thing, and Yoni, you're being the part of that thing. I just wanted you to take that and wanted to tell the audience what it is.
So yeah, just a last point, because actually this is the first time that we are talking publicly about the Game District 3, which is basically bringing this mass market gaming to crypto with Game District's 2 billion downloads and so on. The goal is that we will be the largest Web3 gaming company next year in terms of user base, and having really fun, high quality games that also have tokenization mechanics and rewards and NFTs and so on top. So this is kind of a pre-announcement. You guys heard it first here. So thanks, Saad.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Is any questions or something we'll love to answer?
Great stuff. Thank you very much. I think we are going to be out of time. I will ask this a quick question. Anyone got a quick question they want to? He says, trying to stay out of the speakers. So, I mean, the one thing I would just say is, I mean, obviously, I think I may have said this to you before, but when I was working on PlayStation Home, so I was the home architect for PlayStation's virtual world, we used to have meetings in Habbo, because why not live and breathe the thing that you're doing? And I think one of the opportunities that the metaverse kind of mindset brings us is that we're actually kind of realizing the interconnectivity between games is the thing that matters. Whether visible crypto NFTs is the way to do it or not is something I think still being debated. But the bottom line is the functional principle of interoperability between gaming experience is absolutely an amazing space to explore, and I can't wait to see what happens.